good afternoon, and thanks us for joining us in our webinar today, which is about how we handle challenges at work gracefully, especially when something triggers us. I'm Ilaria, a customer success manager here at NurseBuddy, and I will be your host for today. I'm delighted to welcome back Helen Gruber from Pastora as our speaker. Helen is co-director of Pastora with her business partner, Marilyn Rickson, and they're trainers and coaches who work with care and management teams, guiding them to find ways to look after themselves so they can better care for others. Before Pastora, Helen had a long career in care as both carer and registered manager, so she truly understands what it looks like to work in care and firmly believes that with the right tools, we can care without burning out. And she'll be sharing some of those tools with us today, so a very welcome to you, Helen. A quick note on how today's webinar will work. First, Helen will give a short presentation, followed by a Q&A session with you, the audience. If you would like to ask Helen a question, please type it into the Q&A session of Google Meet. You'll find it at the bottom right of the screen under Meeting Tools. The icons looks like a little grid. If you're on a mobile, please press the three dots to see it. So I think we're good and ready to go. So over to you, Helen.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen so you can see. Hello. So thanks for being here. It's great to see so many of you here. As you know, we can't see you, but feel free to click on your reaction buttons and let us know you're here and how you're feeling during the talk. That would be great. And obviously you've got question and answers, as Ilaria said. So today I want to talk about something we all face, challenges. So some are small and fleeting, others are relentless and draining. But what if we can learn how to meet these challenges gracefully, with strength, compassion and growth? So today, we're going to be exploring challenges, some of the common difficulties care workers face and the impact they have on well-being, mindset, how to turn challenges into opportunities for personal growth, and strategies, some actionable tips for navigating challenges in care work. So first of all, let's begin by acknowledging that care work can be really demanding. There will always be challenges. There will always be challenges in life as well. That's just the way it is. But working in care is deeply human work. It's really rewarding. But we still have challenges to face. And we can do that, especially with support of each other. So what are the common challenges you have? So there's emotional toll. We support people through illness, loss, and decline. And that can be really emotionally intensive. It can cause compassion fatigue, emotional withdrawal, anxiety, and even overwhelm. Lack of time. You often have tight schedules, which mean rushing between visits, rarely getting time to process. So it can make you feel stressed, feel guilty, sometimes feeling that you're not doing enough. Maintaining boundaries. It's hard to say no, switch off, or not carry other people's difficulties home with us. That's what we do as carers. We're worrying about other people all the time. So sometimes the lines blur a little bit and we become overwhelmed. Now, I don't advocate that we have work and life as separate. Don't believe that's possible. But we do need to find ways of switching off so that we're not worrying about work all the time. Isolation. Many home care workers work alone, and you don't have your team room where you go and have a break and a cup of tea so you can have a chat, or you're not passing each other in the services. So that can be a challenge. You can cause loneliness, disconnection, and lack of support. So they're just some of those challenges that you might face. So at the moment, while you're thinking about challenges, which of these do you relate to most? You know, how do they show up in your body or your thoughts as well? Because the challenges will always be there, but it's really good to understand what they are, how you feel about them, and think about them as well. You know, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? We all know that if we're not feeling so good, how we show up is different if we're feeling really good. So just being really aware of what's going on for you and how they make you feel can really, really help for you to then turn those challenges into growth. And that's when mindset comes in. We have to think about our mindset and how we can change those challenges into growth, because it's totally normal to have challenges and to think about, have a negative response to start with. I was only talking about this yesterday with people. You know, if something goes wrong, what's your first thought? You know, my first thought is like, what have I done wrong? And how can I fix it? You know, which actually is not really a positive thought. But it's then taking that thought, taking a moment, and then changing what that thought is so that we can face those challenges. So mindset, turning challenges into growth. It's an opportunity to be aware so you can build resilience and self-trust as well. So what if every challenge was an invitation? Yeah. Ask a question and change how you feel. So, questions and changing how you feel. So a challenge occurs and you say, why is this happening to me? It might be a client you found challenging, you missed a break, you received criticism, and you're just having a really difficult day, and it's just like, oh, why is this happening to me? Well, maybe if we just take a moment and said, what is this teaching me? That can really help to change how you think and feel about it. Having a different question. You know, what does it show? What is it showing me about my needs, about my boundaries? You know, what am I learning from that I can take forward and do different in the future? Then there's maybe the thought, I can't cope. But you can cope. And you can bring past challenges to mind. You know, what past challenges have you been through and that you've got on and dealt with? And it didn't feel like a challenge at the time. It felt not easy, but you could navigate it well and you didn't feel stressed by it. What strengths did you have? What strengths did you use to get through that challenge? You know, tell yourself, I've done hard things before. And you have. You're a carer. We work with many different people. That is challenging. You're trying to make everybody happy. And that's not possible either. So the other thing as well is, especially working on your own in a situation, you can think you're alone. You can think you're the only person that feels like this, that is stressed, that is overwhelmed, that is really finding it challenging. But actually, when we share our truth, when we connect, you're not the only one feeling like this. So remind yourself that others feel this too. They might not all be feeling it right at this moment in time. And that's okay, because that means if they're feeling good at the moment, they've got some energy and time and space to be able to talk to you and listen to what's going on for you as well. Because I don't know about you, but I know that when I'm feeling good, I feel that I can support people. And I'm sure there's someone that you can connect with and talk to as well. So remember, you're not alone. So tell yourself, others feel this too. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up with courage and care, especially for yourself. And having the awareness and changing how you talk to yourself is really, really important. I'm sure, like me, things happen, you do things, and how you respond to what you do is a negative. For example, something simple as I went downstairs to get something, I came back upstairs, didn't actually get what I went downstairs for. And I'm like, oh, you're so stupid, you went downstairs for this. Well, I wouldn't say that to someone else if they'd done that. I'd probably just laugh and go, oh, well, never mind. Perhaps you'll remember it next time. And so thinking about how we talk to ourselves, be kind to ourselves, talk to ourselves like we would a friend, a colleague. That really helps change your mindset. Really think about the words that you use. So how can you navigate these challenges? What can we do? There's lots of small things that we can do to navigate challenges. And some of them are name what's hard. By sharing with someone else or even just yourself that saying this is a tough moment and know that it's a tough moment right now. And understand also that it's a stress, it's not a failure. That can really help you build awareness and space to stop and think about what's going on and how you can help yourself and get support. Reset between visits. So in between visits, just taking 30 seconds. And we all breathe, but if you just took 30 seconds to take a few deep breaths and slow exhale, it brings you back to yourself. It calms your nervous system as well. And it can help you think more clearly. Something really simple that we can all do, and it doesn't have to take long. And say to yourself, that was then, and this is now. We've been to this visit, we've dealt with this challenge. Now we're going on to a new one. We're going to have a new experience. Again, a reminder to check how you speak to yourself. Notice that inner voice. Is it harsh or is it kind? Are you saying I should have done more? Or are you saying I did what I could with what I had? Set boundaries. You can't fix everything. You can listen, you can care, but you can't pour from an empty cup. Give your best in this moment and then let it go. Be really clear about what you can do and what you can't do. And that brings in the connection. So connecting regularly. If weekly check-ins with a colleague or a friend, with your line manager, share what's real, what's going on for you. And in that time as well, it's not just about sharing what's been hard, share what's been a win this week, what went well. Because actually, when you do that, you will find that there's a lot more wins than there are things that have been hard for you. And what brings you joy? This is always my favourite one. What brings you joy? Music, a walk, laughter, exercise, time with friends, family, a hobby that you do. Just whatever it is, what can you do, even if it's for 5 minutes? Just something that brings you joy will help regulate your nervous system, will help make you feel better. Some simple things. Now, yes, hair work is hard, it's human and messy and beautiful all at the same time. But within every challenge, there's also an invitation to listen, to grow, and to lead ourselves with compassion. You don't have to get it right all the time. You don't have to carry it all alone. You just need the tools and the grace to meet the moment. Graceful doesn't mean easy. It means grounded, human, and real. So please, thank you. Please take care of yourself. Thank you for all you do for others. And hopefully now you'll do a bit more for yourself too.
Thank you so much, Helen. I was really looking forward to this topic, and I feel like we share so many good practical tools with us to stay calm when we feel triggered. And I especially like what you mentioned, that we need to first kind of feel mentally and physically what's happening, but then we can just have the right mindset. And I particularly like to say from I cannot cope versus I've done hard things before. I think that really stuck with me. So thank you for sharing that. And now it's time for some questions from the audience. So if you would like to ask a question, please type them into the Q&A section of Google Meet. So it's at the bottom right of the screen under meeting tools. It looks like a little grid or a square. We do actually have a question already from the audience. So of course, something that you touched upon before, sometimes we have warriors from home, they come with us to work, or the other way around. So do you have any recommendation or advice on how we can kind of cope with that scenario?
Okay, so yes, like I said, there's worries at work and worries at home. Some of that is about how you transition between the two can really help. So when you finish work, is there something you can do to bridge going from work to home? So for me, I used to have a bit of a drive home. So I'd put some music on, or I would talk out loud almost of what had gone on for the day and how was it going and everything. It was almost like just a release for how to do that. And then when I got home, I would feel like I'd kind of let things go a bit. And turn up at home and be present at home with what was going on. I also, having someone at home that doesn't mind listening to you, letting off steam a little bit as well is really helpful. Maybe it's going home and saying, right, I just need 5 minutes to just tell you how my day's been. And I'm just going to tell you what's gone on for me. I don't need you to fix it. I don't need you to give me answers or anything like that. I just need, that time to talk. So that's one way with going from work to home. And then when you're going from home to work, having a buddy at work, someone that you can message, that you can call and have a quick chat to, and just share what's going on for you as well. And again, use the time in your car to do things to release what's going on for you as well. But also share at work as well. You might have had a difficult morning before you go to work. That's okay. And sometimes just sharing that you've had a challenge at home can help you feel a bit better, and work is easier as well.
Thank you, Helen. Yeah, I think that's really important, especially because I'm guessing this goes well with the next question. Sometimes we may feel that if we ask for support at work, our team or our manager may feel we are able to do our jobs. So maybe can you recommend something if someone is feeling really worried about this scenario happening?
Yeah, so I've experienced this myself. I felt worried about not showing what was going on with me for a while, and that actually made me ill. So it really wasn't helpful. And actually, if you are struggling with work, outside of work, whatever's going on for you, and you're finding things challenging, arrange a time to talk to your line manager. Plan a time and just say, look, can we have a chat? And be open and honest about how you're feeling, or maybe write an email. What we have to remember is it's okay to be finding things difficult. And if you share how you're feeling or what's going on for you, what are they going to do? They're not going to sack you. You're not going to lose your job because you've shared that you're finding things challenging. I think your line manager would be delighted to hear you share what's going on for you, because actually they then can potentially help you. And they might not even need to do anything for you. They might just need to know that home life, something at home is challenging at the moment, and therefore you're not quite your usual self. That doesn't mean you can't do your job, but they can check in with you. They might send you a message and ask you how it's doing, and that can really help you feel better. So I think it is being confident to speak up and share how you're feeling, and know that, like I said, they can't sack you for feeling how you feel or finding something challenged. In fact, that's how they can help you. And if you ignore what the challenge is, if you ignore how you're feeling, that's when we become unwell, unfortunately. And that's how we end up burning out, is because we think we just have to keep going, stiff upper lip, keep moving, keep pushing forward. And it's so much worse for us.
Thank you for sharing that. I think another question is that maybe someone feels that they have shared their feeling, but they haven't seen anything like happening. What else could they do in order to get the help they need?
Okay, so if you don't feel you're being supported by your line manager, I would, if you can, remind them and say, hey, I did share this with you. Can you help me? Potentially you've got another line manager that you could go to as well. Also talking it through with someone as well, and getting some advice on how they think you can help. Lots of workplaces have employee assistant programs as well. So there are people that you can talk to. One thought as well is, if you need some advice and guidance on how to talk to your manager or how to change, it might just not have landed right or something like that. There's lots of support out there. I mean, the Care Workers Charity is someone I can think of. You could speak to someone there just to have a chat about how you're feeling and help you. There's groups out there as well for carers. Different places where you can share what you're feeling or ask for support as well. But I think still, find that way to say that. And it might be that you have to write it in an email and say, I shared this with you, and you said you would do this, but you haven't yet. Can you help me? Try not to do the blaming, but just tell them how you feel. Really share it. When you share how you feel, generally people are responsive to that.
Thank you, Helen. And I think another interesting question that came through is that sometimes we are trying to get in the right mindset, but we can't. And then it feels like we may want to kind of stick with ourselves. But I think maybe you can share some advice on how it's like, okay, to ask for help to others to help us get in that right mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. We can all get stuck in a mindset, and it can be easy. We can be comfortable in the uncomfortable, because that's what we're used to, and that's very much what we're used to. And I would say, find one thing that can change how you feel. Just do one thing at a time. Don't try to change everything. Don't be critical of yourself for feeling how you feel. It's okay to feel how you feel. All emotions are good emotions. It's how you deal with those emotions. It's how you manage that. So I would say, really look at one thing you can do. What is it that can remind you to do it as well? I worked with a lady who I was coaching, and she had these pretty postcards. They were pretty postcards, and she put them in certain places. On the back, they told her what to do when she was in overwhelm. She wrote down some key things she could do when she was overwhelmed because she wasn't thinking. But to anyone that went in her house or wherever she put them, they just looked like a pretty picture. But if she could spot that in the moment of overwhelm, that would remind her. And she didn't even need to look at the back of it. It was just seeing that picture. So, maybe it's that, having that on your phone or having something in your car that reminds you, just when you look at it, it's like, oh, that's a trigger for you to remember to take care of yourself and think differently.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for sharing that as well, because people have different ways to take care of themselves. But I guess you shared so much with us. But I think one last good question to ask is, what is the good place to start when we are thinking, okay, I need to have that self-care? So maybe you can share a little bit more in terms of what we can all do.
First place, really simple, is the breathing thing. Just taking that moment. It really is. It's because it calms your system down. It's, you know, it's really amazing the difference it makes to you just from taking some deep breaths, just from stopping for a moment. So I think that's the first thing to do. Just really be able to take that moment for yourself. And breathing, we can do it anywhere and everywhere. Even when we're supporting someone, we can have a moment where we can take a couple of breaths and take a moment, and that can really help. And then you can move on to thinking about, what do I like to do? What brings me joy?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is kind of bringing us to the end of the webinar. So Helen, again, a very big thank you for giving us your brilliant advice, as always. You can find out more about how Helen works with care teams to support their well-being and prevent burnout at pastora.co.uk. And a few of you will also be able to experience a free tester of working with Helen and her business partner Marilyn in the Thrive and Shine sessions. This is a well-being team that they're running especially for nurse study. So it will run for 6 weeks, and there will be one drop-in for care workers and one for managers and leaders. Places are limited, so do look out for the email later on with the link to book. Thank you to everyone that joined us today, and take care.